Welcome, friends of the show. We are back with another episode of the Ferris Wheel Serious Rock Talk podcast.
Ooh, all right.
A big thanks for your emails, suggestions, and your support on our social media platforms. Continue to email us at seriousrocktalk@gmail.com. Find us on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, and TikTok. Listen to a new show every week. Just tune in each Wednesday evening, 7 p.m. New York City time on Cap City Beats, located at www.capcitybeats.ca. Okay, buckle up for some serious rock talk. To me, name recognition sometimes is a little bit overused.
Like nepotism, you mean?
Would you agree with that?
I'd agree with that.
You agree with that, Wheeler?
Do you have an example or something?
I do have an example, which I'm willing to risk my reputation, not that I'm worried,
Okay.
of anger. So everyone knows that George Martin is one of the greatest producers out there. Mm-hmm. He's on a list with guys like Quincy Jones, Phil Spector, Mutt Lange, and why not Rick Rubin, okay? But when you have offspring that want to follow in your footsteps, that's cool. But Gil or Gilles, Martin, decided to do the, a reissue, remix of the Revolver album?
Remix, I think, of the Beatles album from 1966, Revolver, which is what we're talking about today, right?
Yeah, so I have three versions here in the studio. One's a 77, one's an 82, and the other one's a 2022. So in my hand, I have the 77 and the 77 and the 2022. And I realized here that Mr. Martin thought he'd be really cute to add extra songs on the new one versus the original one. So side one on the original has Taxman, Eleanor Rigby, Love You Too, Here, There, and Everywhere, Yellow Submarine, She Said, She Said. He decided to add I'm Only Sleeping on that side one. And then on side two, the original had Good Day Sunshine, For No One, I Want to Tell You, Got to Get You Into My Life, and Tomorrow Never Knows. And then Buddy thought it'd be pretty funny to add And Your Bird Can Sing and Dr. Robert. So what the hell are you doing? Well, okay. Initially, when I listened to this album, I had listened to my father's version, which was 1982. Then I got the 1977 version off Koff's Records, which gave it to me for $5 less. And they said, here you go. And I listened to it. It was great. So I said, let me be cool and buy the anniversary of how many years, God knows what.
Over 50, I think.
Over 50 years.
Yeah, cool.
So everyone likes to remix stuff. I get it. Cool. So I listened to it. Yeah, I'm not impressed. I'll be honest. Yeah. I understand a lot of Beatles aficionados are going to be upset with me right now, but hear me out. I don't think it's all that great of an album. I know Revolver has been deemed as one of the best albums out there of the Beatles. I'd like to beg to differ. I had this conversation with my friends yesterday, and they said, hey, Kenny, we got to ask you something. I said, yeah, shoot. They go, what do you think the best Beatles album is? I said, pound for pound, Abbey Road. 100%.
I agree with that, yeah.
If I had to choose a favorite, it's probably going to be a toss-up between Rubber Soul and Abbey Road.
Yeah.
Heck, you know what? I'll even throw the Magical Mystery Tour in there because it's kind of weird and different. I like it. It's got some good songs on it. I don't know. Maybe the whole...
Yeah, there's some charming stuff.
So it's pretty cool stuff. But coming back to Revolver, where everyone said, oh, well, it's the Beatles' best album. And you said, well, it's probably the most popular one or more commercialized.
A lot of people who want to seem too populist won't choose Sgt. Pepper Abbey Road. They go with Revolver as their best album.
I don't know why. Because...
they want to seem like the aficionados who have this special recipe, yeah.
I don't find it's all that good, to be honest.
I've heard a nice way of describing it. It is the album they went from pot to LSD. And it actually sounds like it in the music when you think about it.
Well, why don't we... This kind of demystify... we're going to go through this album track by track. Now, the challenge here is which version... I guess we better go through the remix track by track.
Yeah.
Well, okay.
Because that's the one most people will have.
Yeah. So a little background on it. It was, again, put out by Giles, we say here, Gilles Martin.
Gilles Martin.
Avec Sam O'Call. They source quote directly from the original 4-track master. Master tape. That's pretty amazing. There's 4 tracks on this. Using Peter Jackson's Wingnut Films cutting-edge demixing technology. Interesting, which allows the separation of music previously bounced down and fused together on one track. It's a 5 CD edition offering stereo mix, 2 discs of sessions, which I've heard, and it's just mind-numbing. You thought the movie Get Back was bad. A CD featuring the original mono mix, like I need that, from the original mono tape. And finally, a 4-track EP, which features new stereo mixes of non-album singles, Paperback Writer and Rain. Okay, again with the original mono versions. So that's the background on where this remix from 2022 came from.
Aren't you glad they didn't ruin Klaus Voorman's artwork?
I sure am.
They kept the artwork the same.
It's so goofy. In fact, it's iconic. It's so goofy.
But Ian, you want to mention that the 2 out of the 3 versions I have, 2 of them have Bill Miller on the back.
Yep.
Yeah.
And the other one is Giles.
Nothing. His name doesn't appear.
Bill Miller doesn't appear on it.
So there's something going on there. Okay, so side 1, first one is Taxman, which as a kid I thought he was singing Batman. But anyway, because it goes with it, right? With that kind of funky bass beat on it. Okay, this characterized by one writer as like nothing else in Beatles corpus to date. In fact, it bears no resemblance to anything in the history of recorded music. There's a little bit to that, but not quite. Bob Dylan was doing kind of protest stuff like this, but not in the pop style. Mm-hmm. How do I feel? And we'll go around the little table right now, but I don't think much of... I never really liked Taxman.
Well, it's the first real George Harrison.
Yeah, really.
Out of the gate. It's one of those tracks that some people really love, other people just don't catch on to it.
I don't care much for it, I'll be honest.
It's just a really weird choice as an album opener.
Yeah, that's a good way of putting it.
It's depressing. It's like, les impôts.
Well, exactly. I mean, when you think about it, it's guys that are getting into money, and the first thing they do is they criticize the British taxing system, which they would screw over. Well, not just them, but Rolling Stones and like a bunch of these guys would screw over 10 years later.
Well, also McCartney was right. Never mentioned things that are too contemporary because it dates the song. And he's singing about. He mentions 2 British prime ministers.
Yes, Errol Wilson and Edward Heath.
Yeah, so I just think it's amateurish, and maybe they just wanted to get it over with. Yeah, George, you get the first cut, and then that's pretty well it.
And maybe they wanted to do like a Bob Dylan thing where they're criticizing.
Yeah,
like
right. Social critique,
current event kind of song.
Well, wasn't it at a time in England where things were starting to... Was it like, I guess, a knock towards the government on it?
Yeah, toward the tax... It was socialist government.
Okay.
And so they would tax you at a rate of 95% of your income if you made over a certain amount, not if you made a... And that's why the Rolling Stones ended up in the south of France, where they recorded their best album of all time. But they were tax exiles. So was Michael Caine, a whole bunch of stars, right?
So they got a cheaper system down there.
Yeah, you get a lot cheaper taxes in France.
Nice.
And Ireland's really cheap for artists, writers.
I think we should move our...
Everything goes to Ireland?
I think we should. So yeah, I'm not big on it.
Okay, next up, Eleanor Rigby.
Okay, I love this song.
Me too.
Because of the fact, and I believe Paul McCartney that he created the name Eleanor Rigby. I really do. Whether there was an Eleanor Rigby that came around or whatever, prove it. Okay, he came up with it. He took, the Eleanor, the actress there.
What was her name? Eleanor Braun.
Yeah, it's Eleanor Braun, and Rigby was like some sort of like liquor importing company. It's smart. You know, I love the song. I could listen to it like 1,000 times, and it's good. You know, when it comes on, you know, the satellite radio, or if you put it on your turntable, I put the volume up and I sing to it.
But you know what's funny? There are Beatle geeks out there that have actually found an Eleanor Rigby tombstone.
I know, it's bizarre, right?
In St. Peter's Church in Liverpool.
I know, I've seen that. What are the odds that would appear?
Well, I'm guessing there are 2 relatively common names at one point in British history, and just like the law of probability.
It could have been maybe the liquor manufacturer had a wife or a daughter that name.
I
Probably.
don't know. But
They say that Mackenzie in the song is a name he took out of the phone book.
Well, originally he said it's going to be Father McCartney, and then one of them said, "No, don't do that."
No, yeah.
So he said, "Yeah." They went.
And it was a #1 single hit in the UK.
Now, I've got to say, folks, with this remix, it does sound different. Of all the songs on this remix, put headphones on, this does sound different. I can tell it's not the original cut, the original mix from '66. This is different. The strings are way out front.
Yeah, which I think the father would have wanted, because he used to be a classical guy.
Yeah, really. I have no problem with this particular song. It's so good, but I think the remix is amazing on it. Next up, I'm Only Sleeping, one of John Lennon's drug songs.
Wasn't it Harrison?
Pardon me?
No, that's
When I wake up in the morning. No, it's Lennon.
It's a Lennon.
You're right.
Yeah, it sucked.
Well, I'll put it this way. I think it's an interesting song, but I don't think it's a great song. It's not exactly up there with For No One or Here, There, Everywhere or something.
And I read apparently it was really tricky for George Martin to produce it.
Oh, yeah.
Because there is something called the reverse-led guitar part by Harrison.
Yeah.
Which apparently was a source of a lot of headaches.
Because you got to stay in key and stuff, yeah.
Amongst other things, yeah.
No, it's described as when Peter Doggett. Actually, I have a book of Peter Doggett's as a half acid dream, half latent Lennon laziness personified. I know what I mean. He's just, for a guitar solo, Harrison recorded 2 separate lines. The first with a clean sound, while in the second he played his Gibson 5G through a fuzz box. They had interesting compression on this. In the end, I think it's a novelty. I don't know if it's a great song.
It's okay.
It's okay.
It's all right.
It hasn't aged well. Let's put it that way.
Yeah, it's pretty 60s druggy.
Yeah.
Next up, Love You Too, and that's T-O, not T-O-O. Love You Too. Mark Harrison's first foray into Hindustani classical music as a composer. Boy, that should scare you off. Following his introduction of the sitar on Norwegian Wood in '65.
The sitar drives me nuts in this song. I'll be honest. I just couldn't. If I could, if I was able to skip the track on my turntable, I would have done it.
It's like what's the one he has true on Sgt. Pepper. the joke was that's where you get the scratches. Those people just the next one.
And I love the fact that the original title was Granny Smith.
Was it really? Great trivia.
I'm becoming like a bad Beatles guy, man. Like I'm just knocking this album like as if there's no tomorrow. I'm not impressed. I'm sorry. Next song, Ian.
Here, There, Everywhere is one of my favorite Beatles songs. It's a ballad McCartney wrote. Actually, this is kind of out of our time frame, but Paul McCartney says it's the best song he ever wrote. And I think it is too. It is so simplistic. If you understand music, you can see the chord progressions and stuff. And so many people have covered it. It's just a beautiful song. And with this remix, I gotta say, I haven't noticed a big difference between it and the original. I listened to it quite carefully. It's clearer, but I could live without that.
And I think I know one of the reasons we really like it. It's that because it was heavily influenced, according to McCartney, by God Only Knows from the Beach Boys,
which is a brilliant song.
Yeah.
No, and it's I never get tired of that song. Emmylou Harris, by the way, does a really nice cover of it.
Really?
Yeah, and she sang it at the White House.
Nice.
Yeah, it's really nice. What's next up?
Yellow Submarine.
In the land where I was born.
Close. In the town where I was.
I don't mind this song, I'll be honest.
Yeah, we differ on this. I just can't listen to this song anymore. It's so sing-along. It's a child song, and it's sing-along. And for that reason, I just fast forward.
Well, the funny thing is, though, I think that when it came out, it was just a novelty act almost.
Pretty well.
But because of the '68 movie, cartoon, now it's...
Which is later, right? They pulled it off the album, and they made it a movie, which the Beatles didn't want to participate in at all. It sounded embarrassing. And they didn't.
Well, they had a 3-movie contract, I think, and by that point, they just didn't care.
They didn't care. So they
Well, if you saw Help, you could understand why.
Yeah.
Well, that one there, because I have the Yellow Submarine album, and I guess it's a soundtrack.
It is, yeah.
All right, and then it's obviously on this album here, Revolver. And my father always said to me, he goes, that some people would refer to it as Yellow Thumb Marine. I don't know. You ever heard that?
No, what does that mean?
Like, the thumb, your thumb. I don't know. He had said that people were always, misinterpreting it as the yellow submarine. I'm like,
Yellow submarine.
yeah, I don't know.
I don't know what that's supposed to mean, but
it's probably the equivalent, the '60s equivalent of "Kiss Me, Tony Danza."
Hold me closer,
Hold
Tony,
me closer,
Tony Danza. Yeah, I don't know. Like, I don't mind this song, and I'm glad they put it on there because it kind of made side one, listenable with at least 3 songs. Because I don't mind your other song that you said, Ian.
Well, plus, it was a number 1. Like, it was a Billboard charter.
I didn't mind
it's incredible, isn't it? It's
here, there, and everywhere. I didn't mind that one.
Well, it's better than "Love Me Do."
Yeah, I guess it is, and it has interesting sound effects. Most bands back then weren't using. This is '66. Weren't using all these sound effects. I can live with it. I'm not. I just think it's a little too cute. Sometimes in Beatles albums, well, not sometimes, all the time, they tried to give one song to Ringo, and this is Ringo's song. They always gave bung in something for Ringo, and this is it for Ringo Starr.
Well, each member sang on this album.
Ringo does that's right. Ringo does the lead on Yellow Submarine. If you see Ringo today, like in his All-Star tour, this is one of his songs. He always does. You can't go wrong with this song. Imagine forgetting the lyrics. So,
Well, the nice thing for Ringo is that even if he forgets the lyrics, he just has to put his mic in front of public and they'll sing it for him.
Really good points. Hold it out and act like you know what you're doing. So we got She Said, She Said.
Which was apparently inspired by Peter Fonda's statement during an LSD trip with the Beatles and the Byrds.
I know they were in Los Angeles, and Fonda looked up at Lennon and said, "I know what it's like to be dead." And Lennon wanted to punch him in the neck because it freaked him out, but it stayed with him, right?
Exactly, yeah.
So she said, I know what it's like to... It is such a drug song. You can just almost smell it.
And do you know how many takes it took? Apparently allegedly. It took 25 takes.
It's amazing for the Beatles. Usually they just knocked them out.
Exactly.
Well, Sinatra would knock them out in one shot.
Yeah, and the early Beatles albums are, 14 hours for the whole album or something? I know. It's ladies and gentlemen, this is like... It's an important album in that you started to lose the mop top, and as they took all these drugs and stuff, we're heading into the latter part of the 60s, 66, right? Into Sgt. Pepper, which is total drugs. And then finally, the race to the end of Abbey Road.
Oh, let it be.
Let it be. So it's just, this is one of those, I admit that it is a turning point for the mop tops. This is a pretty, compare Love Me Do, as you said, or I Want to Hold Your Hand, to She Said, She Said. Like, one of the reasons the Beatles were so relevant and remain so is that they cover the spectrum from, like, Love Me Do to A Day in the Life. Talk about growth. They go into this, from this bar band, 4-piece bar band, into this weird art band singing with these reverse, feedback things, in the space of like 10 years or 8, whatever it was. It's pretty amazing. So anyway, that's Yellow Submarine. She Said, She Said. I guess we're on to side 2. Now, I
love when you talk about this next song.
Wait a second, before we get to, am I okay? Like, did Gilles Martin throw anything else on the new side 1? Or does it end with
Kennedy?
She Said?
Side 1, he got...
We're coming in, yeah? We got something?
No, so the original one is Taxman, Eleanor Rigby, Love You Too, Here, There, and Everywhere, Yellow Submarine,
right.
She Said, She Said. In the remix, he put I'm Only Sleeping.
Oh, another great drug song. I mean, when I wake up in the... Oh, wow. I mean, another Lennon where he sounds comatose, which is, you know what I mean? When McCartney's so energetic and sprightly. That's really interesting. Ladies and gentlemen, you're going to have to, I don't know, Google it and see why Gilles Martin felt it necessary to tap that on to the original.
Was he with Yoko already at this time in his...
66. Yeah, he knew her, but no, they weren't an item as far as I know. Maybe. Maybe they were by 66. I don't know. That's a great question. So I guess we'll just...
We'll phone up Yoko.
Yeah, we still could.
Yeah, we could ask her.
Yeah. Side 2, Good Day, Sunshine.
Sunshine.
I don't want to call
That's
her.
a changing of the subject.
No, it's
I don't
just-
want to call her.
No, it's just whenever I said, Ian, yeah, I listened to the album, and I'm like, and he's like, oh, yeah, good days.
I personally find this song
cheesy,
incredibly irritating. Every time I hear it, I want to take out a speaker. And it just seems like, well, here's a critic named Richie
Blackmore.
Unterberger describes it as a song that conveys, quote, one of the first fine days of spring just after you've fallen in love or started a vacation. I know, maybe that's the problem. See, McCartney, untempered, without a choke collar from Lennon, did stuff like this.
I was gonna say that it's McCartney at his most syrupy.
Yeah, he always does. When
he has some strange. Yeah, I agree.
It's an old kind of music hall number on a piano, and it's nice. But there's something about it that, if it wasn't a Beatles song, imagine if it was like a Moody Blues song or something, you would never know it now.
No.
It would be a B-side of some Moody Blues hit. So that's it.
Yeah, it's okay.
Yeah, because it's Beatles, they're never horrible, but it's not, again, it kind of comes with freight on it.
See, they added now on this one here, And Your Bird Can Sing. On the original one, they did not have it.
And Your Bird Can Sing is a good song.
Yeah, it's a little more chaotic.
Yeah, it comes out of nowhere. It's one of those hard-hitting songs.
What's that song that he did? Blackbird in this.
Yeah, Blackbird singing that from the White Album.
Yeah.
This is different. This is an electric song.
And it's ambitious for the Beatles.
Yeah, it really is.
Yeah.
It's a good song. And
it's where you see George Harrison has he has chops.
By this time, he can play the guitar.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's doing okay. And no, I can live with that. With the remix, folks, I didn't hear much difference.
No.
Not really. I'm not sure what Gilles Martin did. But
he should have translated a couple of songs in French, like Good Day Sunshine. Bon journée, brillant soleil.
It would sound even more 60s, actually, if he did that.
For No One is the next song. And again, I think it's his second best song, and so does McCartney.
And you have to love the fact that he put some French horn. Like, who would have thought of put that's probably Martin's, actually.
Well, Gilles Martin, yeah.
He did something right about that. It was written inspired by McCartney's relationship with English actress Jane Asher. And, yeah.
Oh, she's the one just before Linda, right?
I guess pretty well, you're right.
Yeah.
Huh? And there is something about that song that is magical. I got that wrong. This is the one that Emmylou Harris sings, not Here, There, Everywhere. And there's a clavichord in here. It's just an amazing song.
And it's just him and Ringo, which I think is the first time, right?
I guess so. I mean, yeah, really, you're right. It's just a basic song. It doesn't need backwards tape loops and stuff. It's not that kind of song. It's a beautiful ballad. And it's popular today. He still sings it.
So the next one on the Martin.
Dr. Robert.
Dr. Robert, which is apparently, it's if you listen to it, it's a straightforward rocker kind of song. But it's about a drug dealer. Apparently, Lennon wrote it about a New York doctor who supplied clients with hallucinogens.
Including John.
Well, yeah.
I mean, that's the thing. I thought this song is a failure. I just don't think there's anything there.
It's like a love song to your pusher kind of thing?
Yeah, well, he's just trying to be Dylan. He's just trying to be very controversial. He's bored with the Beatles, so he's doing something controversial. Talking with a drug dealer.
No, that's great. That's very inspirational.
Yeah, I know.
Thank you, John. I appreciate you taking
Well, that worked out for him. So, no, I've never really enjoyed... It's not the content so much. I just think it's a boring song. Dr. Robert. It doesn't do much for me.
No, exactly.
It's like it's written too quickly.
I want to tell you.
I want to tell you is next up.
Harrison song.
Yeah.
Uh-oh.
The third and I think the last one of Harrison on this one.
They threw him in jail after this one. I mean, it's just another George Harrison song. In my
Weak.
His LSD song.
It's weak.
Yes, his LSD song. I always thought have a George Harrison song sound like he made them up at the microphone. It's just not. How could I say this? If it wasn't on a Beatles song, you would never ever know this song now from 1966.
He probably would have put it on his Cloud 9 album in '87.
Yeah, really.
Apparently, according to author Mark Lewison, this is another one of those songs Harrison had problems naming. So it's like Love You Too. So apparently Lennon as a joke, told him you should call it Granny Smith Part Friggin' 2.
He's probably, he might probably almost called it that. You never know.
And apparently, at one point, it was briefly called I Don't Know.
That sounds like Harrison.
Yeah. And they changed it on June 6th, which was 4 days after its first recording.
Oh,
session.
really? Interesting. It's livable, but it's nothing interesting there for me.
No, exactly.
What's up next?
I want to tell you. Nope, sorry.
No, it's Got to Get You Into
Yes,
My Life, right?
I was.
Okay.
Yes. Got to get you into my life.
It's been called the most derivative cut. That's what I thought. It's like bad Motown for me.
And it's
It's
called.
okay though. It's not bad.
It's not bad.
McCartney said it was odd to pot.
Okay, whatever that. Okay, well, I mean, the horns are nice, but I just think it's trying too hard. It doesn't have that Beatles magic.
No,
for me.
well, apparently they wanted to have a Motown sound.
No. That's what it sounds. They did a good job.
Yeah, well,
You know what I mean? You can tell it's not Motown, but they have the horns in the back, which is kind of weird for a Beatles song.
exactly. Yeah, and they gave a hi-hat cymbal to Ringo Starr.
Did Ringo have to do with it?
Yeah, that I don't know. That they didn't say that.
What's this? But yeah, I've never really Got to Get You Into My Life. I just thought it's kind of flat. It tries too hard to be catchy.
Yeah.
So, what's next? Tomorrow Never Knows.
We don't know what Tomorrow Never Knows.
I find it a really, production-wise, a really interesting song. That's again drenched in drugs.
Oh, yeah.
Acid. The marijuana's out. This is an acid song. Lennon adapted the lyrics from Timothy Leary's book, The Psychedelic Experience, a manual based on the Tibetan Book of the Dead. Well, that's probably going to give you some kind of vibe. And it's influenced by LSD and spiritual enlightenment. So you've come a long way from Love Me Do, right?
Oh yeah. Plus you have sitars, tape loops, seagull-like noises. Although, didn't you tell me that it wasn't seagulls? It sounds
I'm
like
not
seagulls,
sure.
but it's.
Someone's been their foot stepped on. I don't know what it was.
Well, you know what? I'm kind of glad because as we're going to start going more and more into the season, we're going to do more of these reviews.
Track by track.
Yeah, and I'm glad that we started off with Revolver because sometimes I feel whenever I listen to an album, I kind of always want to put my heart in front of it because I always like to respect.
Well, you
certain
want it
guys.
to be good.
Exactly. And this one here, I just had high hopes. And I remember listening to it with my dad, and I figured it's not so bad. But the remix one, when they added these extra songs, it's actually 3 of them that they added.
Yep.
I don't know why. And I just don't, I'm honest, I don't really like them.
There's no added value.
There's no added value
right.
to it. I don't really like them. And I have nothing against the Beatles. They are intelligent. They're in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame for a reason. And I think, forget the merit alone, the musical academia of the way they wrote and performed music, it was smart. And they, like you said, Ian, yeah, there's a lot of hidden messages with drugs and all that crazy stuff. But I'm just glad that we started off with this one because at least I was able to be judgmental on it. And the next one that we decide to do, whether it's Beatles or Stone, whatever, maybe I might be a little bit more, hunky-dory with, rainbows and unicorns. I don't know.
Yeah.
But this one here, it didn't. I would smash this into an EP. I would take Taxman, Eleanor Rigby, Yellow Submarine, and
Which is probably how most people consumed it in the 60s.
yeah.
Yeah, you just went zeek to the next one.
And
No,
then
but I
I'd
mean
probably,
buying little EPs, like little 45s.
Oh, yeah, you could do that.
And I'd probably put, I don't know, just upset you in Good Day Sunshine, whatever. Put 4 or 5 songs on it, hammer it out as an EP, and call it a day.
Yeah, I just think it's important in terms of the Beatles' career, but pound for pound, I could kind of inhale the certain songs I like and leave out the drug songs that I know are important for a transition to Sgt. Pepper. I get it. Believe me, I know a little bit about the Beatles. But the songs like She Said, and I can just, Good Day Sunshine, I want to tell you, Gotta Get You in My Life, Tomorrow Never Knows. They can B-side, I can almost do without half this classic album. The other thing we can mention, I know it's sacrosanct to criticize the Beatles. Yeah, well, now and then you have to. Maybe you have to step back a bit, and not everything they wrote was a sterling, indelible, immortal song. Now and then, Cole Porter put out bad music. Now and then Beethoven did too. It just, that's the way life works, and the Beatles did too. And there's, in my opinion, but almost 50% of this album is not great stuff in terms of songwriting. Not production, songwriting.
Yeah.
So that's where I stand.
But at the same time, you have to give them chops because it's all their songs. Whereas before,
yeah.
Is this the first one where it's all their own
That's
stuff,
a really
or?
good point. Is it? Or is
Well,
was,
it
trying to
seems to be
remember.
like the writing credentials they have each artist on their own.
was
Yeah.
it the next? It was Rubber Soul, the first one.
Oh, you're right. You're right. It's Rubber Soul. That's the first. What's the expression? All filler? No. That's
Yeah, I know
not
what
it.
you mean. I forget the rhyme. Yeah.
Yeah, you know what? That's a good album.
Yeah, I don't know. Okay, the Beatles for me made songs. They never really made albums. And when they tried to make a theme album like Sgt. Pepper, it was a failure. I don't regard Pepper as a theme album. Just because you open with something and close with something, it doesn't make with people applauding. That's the soundtrack.
It's like a Broadway play, really, if you look at it.
Someone showed me the Kinks put out an album before Sergeant, maybe at the same time, called Arthur, I think, King Arthur, or Tommy even, for instance. It's a thing you can tell. Sergeant Pepper for me is not a theme. A Lonely Hearts Club Band. This is what you play. What? It doesn't make any sense. Look at the lineup of songs, and then they end with Day in a Life. Doesn't make sense to me. I don't think it works. It's been criticized as being overambitious that way. But there you go. I said, but this album, in particular, Revolver, what occasioned this, folks, is this remix. And maybe someday in an episode we'll talk about, are these necessary remixes by Gilles Martin? I don't know. My gut feeling is no. I'm okay with the original. What? It's not that bad to sound. They had great studio musicians, great production facilities. I don't need it remixed because you can do with Peter Jackson's new decoding software. So what? I think McCartney's involved in this too. It reintroduces the Beatles. I get it, new audience. Sales go through the roof again. So
You think he's involved?
he was?
Oh, he was. Okay.
Oh yeah.
And I think what Peter Jackson's using, I read an article. Apparently, it's an artificial intelligence. Actually, it's
really?
it's
So
something completely insane. Like
Yeah.
it's a huge computer that's using tons and like tetra octets, or I don't even know what it is.
Well, that's one of the critiques is putting in stuff that wasn't there.
Well,
So-
yeah, exactly. Well, he's using the computer to go from a 4-track to like a 100-track.
I know.
So he's subdividing things that like
Maybe shouldn't have been subdivided. I don't know. I'm okay with the original. I'm not being a Luddite here.
No.
It sounds okay.
Yeah.
Listen to get yourself a pristine copy of the original '66 release. Put on headphones. It sounds great. Yeah, and some of this new stuff sounds pretty good. Eleanor Rigby in particular, but it's not really necessary. And the price on this, if you see this, like $200 or something for the full
huge
remix
box, yeah.
the box on it with EPs, or vinyl and CDs.
That's more than 200.
Yeah, really.
Yeah, because my buddy, his fiance works for a company, which won't mention, that she's able to get it at cost. And he says, if I want it, he'll give it to me for 100.
holy
Wow.
okay.
And I'm not, obviously, I don't know if I really need it. I need another album, like I need a hole in the head. Like, sort of
Yeah,
stuff.
you already have a.
So, yeah, that means I got to start shelling out. I got to clear out stuff to make room, man. I'm doing what you said, Ian. 2 come in, 4 come out.
Basically, in life, that has to happen. But yeah, including your clothes. But yeah, so anyway, that's our take on it, ladies and gentlemen. I hope you enjoyed the track-by-track analysis of the Beatles' 1966 Revolver. And in the future, we'll do probably, a fairly well-known album. It could be the Rolling Stones, could be CCR, whoever. But it's a new venture for us. I hope you enjoyed it.
Well, I'm Ferris Kennedy saying au revoir.
Stephen Wheeler saying adios.
And Ian Clark saying goodbye.